of course, the Texans 23-20 victors yesterday over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. They built a 23-6 lead in the fourth quarter, and the Jags clawed their way back into the game. But they can check two boxes, the Texans, this morning, Seth Payne. They won the football game, and they scored not one, but two touchdowns in the second half to do so. I didn't know you were allowed to do that, man. They scored two.
This is like when ladies first started wearing bikinis.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa,
hey.
I like it, but is this even right? I got to talk to my pastor about this.
Love me a little Dalton Schultz wide open on the right side.
Nothing my pastor loves more than getting 38 in text. Hey, should I? Is it okay for me to be aroused by the Texans scoring two second-half touchdowns on offense?
But it's a fair question to ask, man. It's all about your soul, you know? I mean,
they don't teach you this in seminary.
So
you got to stick and move, man.
This is where, and we'll dig into this game because there was plenty to like and there was plenty to not like, and there was Azeez Al-Shire doing his thing out there yesterday, which is going to get, I would imagine, a ton of attention today.
It is his thing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's the thing that makes discussion about that play. We'll get into it. I know it's so difficult. Is that Azeez? He's got priors.
Yeah, he does this season.
Yeah.
He had priors when he was in San Francisco and Tennessee, but even just this season he does.
Yeah.
We'll get into Azeez. What that may have meant to this game, ultimately, it probably meant nothing. I can't imagine Trevor Lawrence playing any better than Mac Jones did in the fourth quarter.
Mac Jones was way better. It was the best thing that happened to the Jaguars yesterday was Trevor Lawrence getting knocked out. I don't know why they were so upset about it.
Exactly.
Mac Jones was on fire. He was Rookie of the Year, Mac Jones.
He was really.
Trevor Lawrence sucked.
Yeah,
he was going to throw 5 picks. He was lucky he hadn't already thrown 3.
He was. No question. Here's where I'm at with this game yesterday, Seth. Is that I woke up this morning, got into my truck, got ready to drive to the station, and I said, man, I am glad they didn't lose yesterday. What would this? It wasn't a great win. It was a win. You needed it because the Colts last-second heroics in New England, and they beat the Patriots yesterday. So it's all these teams mirror each other, man. Whatever the one team does each week, team does. Like, it's been this way literally since they played the Colts in Week 8. It's been a 2-game lead with the tiebreaker. And so you needed to win this yesterday, 1 for the standings, but 2, I can't imagine sitting around for 2 weeks stewing over consecutive losses to the Titans and the Jags. So I am thankful, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, which we just finished up, I am thankful that they won just based on the psyche of me, you, and everybody else in Houston for the next couple of weeks.
I also, you know what, I resolved this morning I'm going to try real hard since we only have a 2-hour show today, to not continually point out how bad the Jaguars' defense actually is.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that. I'm just trying to take the positive. Hey, the whole O-line got game balls because the Texans eventually figured out that trying to run past the offensive tackles as fast as possible was the best route for Joe Mixon. If I can just get outside the pathetic offensive line, we're going to be all right. Yeah. Let's just run around the end ASAP. Yeah. But no, there were some positive developments, especially the fact that they got better as the game went on.
Yeah.
I think offensively, the fact that really, D'Amico had said that the offensive line played great the whole game. I disagree. In the first half, it was classic Texans offensive line.
Yeah.
In the second half, they got it going. And Joe Mixon sets a record for most consecutive 100-yard games on the road in which you score a touchdown.
That's it? Yeah, that's exactly it. You nailed it. Yeah. So,
nervous when you saw me try to handle stats.
First one. Well, you're the one who told me to get nervous when you handle stats.
Tell me not to look stats up during the segment. I had that one in my brain.
You had it in your holster, ready to go. First one to do that since 1970, I think, is what I saw.
Oh, so it wasn't a record.
It wasn't a record, but he's the first one to do that since 1970. I think to me, the Joe Mixon number that's almost the stranger one, he leads the league in 100-yard games this year. It's got 7.
It's the strangest thing in the world that nobody is really going to pay attention to because nobody's paying attention to the Texans right now.
Yeah.
But what people will fail to recognize and realize is that was done with so little help from the offensive line.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, there are so many just Joe Mixon joints. It's created by him with minimal help here and there, a smattering. Yesterday, he actually got genuine blocking in the second half.
In the second half, the 30-yard run that kind of busted the dam a little bit in the run game that set up the very next play. 7-yard run, like same run. It was down near the goal line to that left side. So, yeah, second half was it was good to score in the second half, man. 2 touchdowns in the second half. I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous when it was 6-3 at halftime. I'm like, okay, by the pattern that they've established in the second half of football games, if they're going to win this game, the final score is going to be 6-3.
Right. It got and right up. I had posted this on the series in which Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Right before he got hurt, I said this game is rocketing towards the second half way faster than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because we know what's been going on. And then Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and then basically there were like 15 injuries after that, and it turned into a painstakingly slow game.
It was a slow game. Clint and I got in here for the post-game show, and we didn't come on the air till like 3:50. Usually we're on the air by like 3:25. Clint's like, Chief, was that a long game? Like, it didn't go to overtime. Was that a long game? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, the whole Aziz thing took like 15 minutes to hash out. I knew it was going to be a shorter post-game show while the whole Aziz kerfuffle was going on out there.
And then it got fun after that. Even though the Texans got the brunt of it, they allowed a field goal on that drive. But the Jaguars basically said, all right, we're just going to run. We're going to run the ball right down your throat. And I kind of thought, ooh, this is grudge. This is, an angry Jaguars team versus a Texans defense. But then, lo and behold, Peterson realizes, like, hey, Mac Jones ain't a complete flop.
Right.
Let's just go. And by the way, they don't have Aziz Al-Shire, which conveniently got rid of our crappy quarterback who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn yesterday.
Yep.
So let's chop up this Texans defense over the middle where they're down a linebacker, and Mac Jones looked like rookie Mac Jones, in which he was Rookie of the Year.
Did yesterday make you more confident, less confident, or you at the same level of confidence that the Texans are equipped to handle the 3 games in 11 days coming out of the bye week?
Same confidence.
Same confidence.
And it wasn't
That's
like I was optimistic about it before.
Okay, you and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff that, the stuff that was working for the Jaguars in the run game was a lot of the same stuff they were trying versus the Titans. They were just getting physically manhandled versus the Titans. So I think it was good. It was good. It's good that they did that versus a bad defense. It's progress in a lot of regards, what they did in the second half, because I thought the offensive linemen weren't making mental errors or just falling on their faces. But it doesn't make me feel more confident than when they face a genuinely good run defense that they're going to average more than 2 yards per carry.
Yeah, and the pass protection, too. Like, okay, the pass protection was better. I thought the pass protection was okay in the first half, even when they were only scoring 6 points. Like, CJ got sacked at the end of the first drive. He got sacked on the second drive. And then he didn't get sacked the rest of the day. And I thought, I thought the protection was pretty good. I thought there were a lot of times where CJ was holding the ball a really long time back. I don't know what was going on. We weren't in the stadium. We were watching it on TV, so we couldn't see what was going on downfield, if the coverage was really good. I have no idea.
The one play where – there are 2 plays there when he was holding on to the ball a long time. The one play when it ended up being an underthrow to Tank Dell and should have been an interference call. It wasn't called. But he had to wait for that, and by the time he had to step up, his deep ball hasn't been the same this year.
No.
But that one, I thought it was a good job of hanging in the pocket, in a muddy pocket, and making the right decision. And honestly, should have drawn the DPI, which is just as good as a deep strike.
Yeah.
So better actually. So there was that, but then the other play when he did have Schultz wide open in the flat, and he tried to escape the pocket. Back to remember the situation. Yeah, they were in like 60-yard field goal range right there. It was 3rd and long, but hanging on, hitting Schultz in the flat there could have gotten them into field goal range. It was 3rd and long. That's one of the times where I feel like CJ probably should have gotten rid of the ball better. So it's still not perfect, but I don't think he looks flustered or anything.
No, I actually feel like I'm with you. I'm same confidence level. There's nothing about that win yesterday that makes me think, Eureka, they figured it out. They scored in the second half. They just decided to not score in the first half of this game. Instead, they just flipped it around for this game. I do think with CJ, there were some throws in that game where I'm like, okay, he's seeing it go through the hoop. You know what I mean? Like shooters saw. CJ always compares himself to Steph Curry. And sometimes with shooters, they need to see the ball. If they're in a slump, They need to
CJ
see.
ranked himself as a top 5 NBA player this offseason.
Did he? Yes, he did.
Yeah,
He's a
and
top,
on a podcast.
top 5 shooting guard on the $1 million worth of game podcast. But I think he had some throws yesterday to me that felt like, okay, that looks like the old CJ right there. That, he hung in, the touchdown to Dalton, like, okay, Dalton, that play breaks down. There were times over the last several weeks where CJ had guys open like that and he wasn't seeing them, so that he at least found Dalton. We had Dalton on the post-game show. He called that a training camp play. He's like, yeah, it just kind of broke down, and I was just sort of standing there.
The stuff that happens when defenses aren't.
Yeah.
So that's where the Jaguars are as a defense. We were playing against the twos and a rookie, somebody or other.
Called it a training camp
The vintage stuff that I did like seeing, I thought the CJ's touch and the outs, including that one to Nico Collins, that classic
toe tapper?
CJ to Nico, right? At first, in real time, it doesn't look like a catch, and then it's emphatically a catch. He had a nice out. I can't remember if it was an out, but it was to the right sideline to Tank Dell in the third quarter. Some of the on-rhythm, kind of almost no-look passes to Nico over the middle.
Yeah.
We did have a Nico Collins reception called back to penalty early in the game.
We did early in the game. First drive, Kate Stover lined up off
We got it out of the way, and it wasn't a touchdown.
I know.
That play died so deeper Nico Collins strikes could live.
Now, it did lead to because I wrote this down, an incompletion on the next play on second and long, a sack of C.J. Stroud, and then a punt. So it did the drive got short-circuited, but it didn't negate a touchdown that time at least.
That was the most frustrating part of yesterday early on was, the administrative errors. These flags, it's one thing if you get a holding penalty or something like that, but these administrative errors early, I'm like, oh, no, here we go again. But they cleaned it up. They only had 3 penalties on the day.
They played a clean game. Seth, that Kate Stover penalty led me to get this separate piece of paper out from my Pender notes where I wrote, game-killing stupid bleep the Texans do today. And the list was not that long.
You had a separate file.
I had a separate file so that so I wouldn't have to sift through my notes to find it. I put a separate sub-note here of just like the stupid, dumb stuff. Like all the stuff from the Titans game, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of when I added an extra tab to an Excel doc, which I will never use again. Yeah, that's what you did.
That's what I did. It's a long list. Good job, Texans.